All rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Perfect.
Well, thank you. Welcome, everyone. We've got a little bit larger crowd than we're normally used to. So let's get to right to our business for the night. The first item on our agenda is the swearing in of a new member, Buddy, was it Alves?
Alves.
Al?
Buddy Alves.
Buddy is
Alves.
replacing Tom O'Malley, who's our new mayor.
Yes.
So I guess you will stand and
Good morning, or afternoon at this point. Right hand on the Bible, please. All right. I state your name.
I, Buddy Alves,
Do solemnly swear or affirm
to solemnly swear and
or affirm
or affirm
to carry out the responsibilities
to carry out the responsibilities
of the office of Commissioner
of the Office of Commissioner
of the Planning and Zoning Board
of the Planning and Zoning Board
to the best of my ability,
to the best of my ability,
freely acknowledging the powers of this office
freely acknowledging the power of this office
flow from the people I am privileged to represent.
flow from the people I
And privileged to
am
represent.
privileged to represent.
I further swear or affirm
I further swear or affirm
always to place the public interest above any. Always to place the public
always to
interest
place the responsibilities
The public
of the
interest.
public interest
above
of
any special or personal interest,
any special or personal interest,
and to respect
and to respect
the right of future generations
the right of future generations
to share the rich,
to share the rich,
historic,
historic,
and natural heritage
and natural heritage
of Delaware.
of Delaware.
In doing so,
In doing so,
I will always uphold
I will always uphold
and defend the constitutions
and defend the Constitution
of my country and my state.
of my country and my state.
So help me God.
So help me God.
as long as
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
All right, well, thank you, and welcome, Buddy, to
Thank you.
the group.
Yes.
All right, the next item on the agenda is the approval of the agenda. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda? Second?
I'll
We
second.
have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, the next item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes of the March 19th, 2026 Planning and Zoning Commission meeting. Do I have a motion to approve?
Make a motion to approve.
Okay, a second? All in favor?
Aye.
All right. So we have three items on the agenda tonight. One of them is considered old business, and then we'll have two new items on the agenda. We're voting tonight on only one of the three proposals before us, and that's the one we're getting to first. So the second two that we're going to discuss tonight, and why I think most of you are probably here, is what we call a conceptual plan. So we're all going to listen and we'll talk. There will be no vote taken on those two items. So the first item on the agenda is P336, 32 and 34 Woodland Avenue. It's PIDNS 116.010, comma, 116.001, /CTM:134 12.00.317.01 and 134.12.00-13701. This is an application as a review of a final land development plan and record the plan for this proposed subdivision, Blue Heron Landing. It's submitted by Stephen R. Anderson Jr., PE of Pinoy, did I get that right? Close. Associates, on behalf of the property owners, Stephen J. and Ann Colazole. The plan proposes the subdivision of 2 parcels of land into 7 parcels on property zoned R1, single family residential district. And this is located at 3234 Woodland Avenue. PIDNS 116.001 and 116.001. CTM 134-12.00.317.01 and 134.12.317.00. So the first thing we'll do is turn it over to Mr. Lober, and we will hear comments from him. And again, I think this is a final,
Yeah, final development plan.
okay.
So for the purposes of tonight's hearing, we have no further comments. As you'll see in the letter that we offer, we are happy with the plan as it stands right now.
Okay.
Wouldn't be here honestly if we weren't. I should give you a little history so that we're all on the same page and we know what we're talking
Yeah,
about.
it's been going on for a while.
It has been going on for a very long time. We've gone through every step, every outside agency approval has been obtained, the design has been tweaked. We are finally at the point where the plan is ready, in our opinion, the department's opinion, to be approved. And so that's why we're here tonight. So 6 new lots, 6 new residential lots, a small street that will be turned over to the town for public ownership and maintenance, open space parcel that will contain stormwater management that will have to be owned and maintained by the homeowners association. But
Okay. Is the one entrance into it still off of Woodland?
one entrance in the.
Because there is an access to Central, isn't there? Or there was a
No.
right-of-way there, maybe?
Central, no, the property is west of Woodland,
Mm-hmm.
so it backs up to other developed land to the west. And
Okay.
Central is east of.
Okay. All right. Any questions of Jim from the commission? Okay. All right, well, thank you. So is the developer or owners here that would like to address the?
The engineer,
Mhm.
the engineer representing the engineer.
Do you have any questions?
All righty. So just state your name and,
Steve Anderson with Pannoni Associates.
okay. And was there any presentation you wanted to make to us or any comments?
I mean, it's nothing different than what we presented with the preliminary. So
Okay,
The minor tweaks since then.
all right. Kiddo. Right. Does any members have any questions? All righty. Very good. Thank you. All right. So are there, open it up to the floor, are there any, anyone here that would like to address us before we move forward?
There's a gentleman behind
Yes,
the
sir.
sign.
Please come forward and state your name and address.
My name is Robert Harrington. I live at 38 Woodland Avenue, and I share a property line of approximately 688 feet with this proposed development. This proposed development, my land, and 2 other parcels on the other side of me were all part of the Isaac Long Farm. I'm a 5th generation descendant of the original Mr. Long, who was born in 1780. So I have probably, though I know many other people have an interest in this, I have deep, deep roots in my family going back to 1780. This project has been interesting because it's ever since 2006 had false starts, and for reasons unknown to many of us, we never got anywhere. And now it looks like something wonderful is proposed. And as a resident who has had wreckage and dilapidated stuff next door for the last 12 years at least, to quote somebody that's another neighbor, for God's sakes, approve this thing so something beautiful can come to the town. It's been ugly for 12 years and a failed project since 2006, I think, 20 years. So please, I've talked to my other neighbors. We want to see something beautiful there. Thank you.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that comment. All right. Anyone else? Yes, sir.
My name is Eric Thornton. I live at 15 Powell Lane, which is adjacent to the back of this property. So we're right here next to the stormwater management. And I think myself and people that I've talked to in the area are definitely in favor of the improvements to the land. The concern that we have is just to make sure it's discussed about water. And I live next to a tax ditch, and that tax ditch on my length of the property was filled in by the previous owner with a drainage tunnel or tube, I don't know what you call it. And Al Casapula was the previous owner of the house that I currently live in. And I had signed a easement for this development to drain on the water down side or downstream side of the pipe. Concern that we have, or I have, is that on the Dolan house on the side, so I guess it would be here, is Woodland Avenue is draining into it where the new sidewalk was put in, where the additional sidewalk is going to be put in. My understanding is that too will drain into this canal, plus all the property. Is there any indication of how much rain can be held into the stormwater management pond?
This was designed for the 100-year storm.
Okay.
To be able to, there's no additional flow will be going from, no increase in flow for the 100-year storm.
Okay. So, and perhaps maybe more relevant to a different conversation, but the fact that more water is going to flow in from this street, from this new street, less permeability from these houses. What's the town's stance on the tax ditch, which is owned privately? So for our homeowners association, we have to pay for maintenance of that ditch, which is concerning in the fact that the town's putting water into it.
So, okay, you said a lot of stuff there. First of all, the town's not putting any more water in that ditch. This is a private land development project that's happening within the town that we're reviewing against the town code. So the town's not putting any more water in the ditch. The town's improvement project along Woodland Avenue will create a minor increase in impervious, but it will not create anything significant enough that required conservation district review and approval from a stormwater management, best management practice standpoint. The volume of water, additional runoff from the sidewalk project is considered de minimis. So there's nothing there.
Okay. That's what I was referring to.
Okay, got it. All of the water within the subdivision, other than the minor amount of flow from the rear yards that flow into the ditch you referenced that runs east and west along the northern boundary, will flow into the street, into that drainage network, and get into the stormwater management basin. And then the stormwater management basin actually outlets downstream of your pipe. So the only water that's going to get to your pipe is the water that currently gets there. And it's actually going to be reduced because some of this water currently drains to the north end of your pipe and then drains through your pipe, whereas now it will all be collected in the stormwater management facility and outlet below your pipe.
Right.
And then the easement that you signed along with Mr. Colagio, his rights within that easement now pass to the homeowners association, and the homeowners association is now responsible for the pipe that runs along your joint property. So you no longer have any responsibility for maintenance of that pipe.
Is there any requirement for that HOA to maintain some kind of bond or anything that ensures that they have the funds if something like that were to happen?
I don't believe there's any language like that.
Is that unusual? Like that, is it a normal request for an HOA to have some kind of a bond on file to cover some level of costs of something happening?
It's typically not, because the
Okay.
HOA is not formed before the development is made. It can be a requirement. It depends on the HOA documents that are going to be done by the developer.
Okay.
There's typically a bond from the developer that carries on, and I apologize because I am substituting. today, so I don't know this particular town's code on that particular issue, but most codes have some sort of 1 year or 2 year that the developer has to keep a bond available. So I can check on that, but I couldn't tell you that today, just because I'm not usually in Ocean View.
Okay.
Yeah, there is no requirement for seed money, essentially,
No, okay.
for the HOA from the developer.
Okay. Any other questions? Thank you.
All right, thank you. Any other comments? All righty, well, I'll close it to the floor. All right, so we've got this proposal for us, P336. Does any discussion before we take a vote? All right. Would anyone like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion that we approve this plan. I'm looking at you to make sure we use the right words.
Yes. Yep, you should, you've got your title here, Blue Heron,
that
Blue
we
Heron
appro-
Landing, motion to approve. As prepared by Pinoni.
P363.
All righty, do we have a second?
I'll second.
You got a second, Ken? Okay. All right, well, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? All right, well, the motion passes 5-0. Thank you. All right. So under new business, the first item on our agenda tonight is P363 at Atlantic Avenue. It's PIDN 284.001/CTM 134-13.00-1096.00. Application P363 is a concept level review of a plan titled 5 Atlantic Avenue Conceptual Site Plan submitted by Alan Dector, P.E., Peroni and Associates. I guess you're going to be rejoining us. On behalf of the property owner, Randall H. Hall of 5 Atlantic LLC, for property zone GB1, which is General Business District 1, located at 5 Atlantic Avenue. It's PIDN .284.001/CTM number 134.13.00-1096.00. The project proposes adding a 2,376 square foot accessory storage building behind the existing commercial building, as well as alterations to existing parking areas. So with that, Mr. Lober, you're on again.
Certainly. Having had the opportunity to review the concept plan, we have come up with the following comments. The site exists with an overall lot coverage of 79.4%. The plan currently proposes to reduce the lot coverage to 78.4%. However, the maximum allowable lot coverage for GB1 zoning is 50%. Therefore, a variance will be required to allow coverage beyond 50%. Field shop topography will be required on the preliminary plan. Provides a 10-foot wide easement required by section 14079B6. Show the dumpster location. The dumpster will need to be located and screened in accordance with code requirements. Provide the height of the existing building on the plan. The proposed height of accessory structure is 20 feet, exceeding the maximum allowable height of 14 feet for a detached accessory structure. A variance will be required. The existing building violates the front yard setback along Route 26. A variance will be required there as well. The setback along Town Road is required to be a front setback of 30 feet. The northerly boundary of the site is a side lot line and remains a side lot line for the entire length regardless of the various directional changes in the line. Provide a 15-foot setback along this entire length. The easterly boundary of the site is a rear yard and requires a 30-foot setback along the entire length. The relocated structures are also detached accessory structures and are required to meet the 15-foot side yard setback and be 10 feet off of the rear line. The existing sign will require a variance. More than 50% of the setback area on 3 sides of the site is covered with parking drive aisles and entrances. A variance will be required. Moving forward, additional comments will be provided regarding specific plan requirements as each level of plan review is achieved through the process. Regarding parking and loading, the required number of parking spaces must include the square footage of the proposed building and the second story of the existing building. Please ensure that the parking calculation is based on the total GFA, or gross floor area. If the required number of spaces cannot be provided based on the code provisions, the Planning and Zoning Commission may modify the number of required parking spaces upon submission of a parking study by a qualified traffic analyst, demonstrating that sufficient off-street parking needs can be achieved with fewer spaces than the code requires. Provide the angles and dimensions required by section 14059D2 to verify that the angled parking shown is code compliant. The drive aisle along the northern boundary of the site is closer than 5 feet to the property line. The driveway will have to be narrowed or a variance will be required. Although only 2 ADA compliant spaces are required, accessible spaces must be provided for all of the various entrances to the building. Provide an ADA compliant space on the west side of the building. Both ADA spaces are required to be van accessible. Ensure that the appropriate dimensions are provided. Regarding landscaping, screening, and lighting, landscaping, screening, and lighting will be required to comply with the code. Variances will need to be obtained for relief from any requirements that cannot be met. Regarding floodplain, the site lies within a special flood hazard area with a base flood elevation, but no floodway designation. A CLOMR or a conditional letter of map revision will be required to be obtained from FEMA, Federal Emergency Management Agency, for the proposed development prior to final plan approval. The building will need to comply with requirements of section 116(5)(c). Variances will need to be obtained for relief of any requirements that cannot be met. Regarding outside agency approvals, given the unique nature of the existing condition of the site and the number of variances that will be required to permit the proposed use to be approved, approvals from the state fire marshal will be required prior to the acceptance of the preliminary plan, and any variance requests, as any site plan modifications required by those approvals will need to be incorporated into the site layout prior to final variance determination, hearing by the Board of Adjustment and potential preliminary plan approval. Regarding variances, at this point the department has identified that variances from the following categories may be required. We will not be able to complete the variance list with a specific variance description until the site layout has been finalized. The variances will be required at least regarding maximum lot coverage, sign location, minimum screening width, parking area design standards, and setbacks regarding the driveway and the building. I should mention that since the writing of our letter, we have received 5 letters in support of the project that should be in your packets this evening.
Okay,
I saw that. Okay.
bless you.
So they've got a number of variances that they're gonna have to address.
It's an existing site that's been around for a long time, and so.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Anybody else have any, Mark, you got any comments or
No, I'm good, thank you.
no? You good?
I got one question. Is that lot coverage and, you know, covering with more impervious surface, in that particular area, the water is flowing kind of west towards the canal. So does, you know, having more lot coverage being proposed, is that less impacting when you're at the end of where the water's gonna run to? In other words, not impacting other properties because the water's moving towards the canal?
Sure. Yes, theoretically, more impervious at the bottom of a watershed is less impactful than it is at the top of the watershed because it quickly gets to the ultimate point of conveyance. I guess I'd be lying if I said that wasn't the case. I don't know that it's any less important to treat that impervious or have quality measures in place, you know, to protect the resource.
No, I appreciate all that, but I was just, it just seemed to me that because it's at the end of where the drainage is going, it's gonna have less impact. And it will have some, but to what,
Sure.
how much that matters is another issue to be probably heard by the Board of Adjustment.
Sure. I will note that the lot coverage exists above the 50%. The plan as it stands is proposing to actually reduce it slightly. So any variance for lot coverage from the Board of Adjustment, should we ever get there, will be to allow more than the 50%, not to allow necessarily an actual increase.
Right. So it's the change driving all the because it's an older property, driving all the, I guess, variances needed to meet code.
Right,
because-
the reason that we're here today is because they're proposing additional square footage.
Yeah.
In order to propose that additional square footage, they need to bring the site into compliance.
Gotcha, okay, thanks.
All right. All right, well, thank you for your comments. Is the owner, developer here tonight and wish to address the commission?
Couldn't we provide a tripod for all these guys?
Good evening.
Hi.
My name is Alan Decker, Benoni Associates, professional engineer. And I'll just add a little bit to it. Yes, I think in Mr. Lober's response, all you heard was a lot of variances, right? Most of them are related to the existing site. This is a pre-existing non-conforming site. It's been here for a while. And as the code maybe has changed over the years, this property has become non-compliant, right? So as part of this process, if we move through the process for the proposed accessory building, we would bring the site into compliance with fixing the site or getting the variances, either or. But this is just, in the packet, this is a picture of the existing site, right? So you have this existing building split between 1 and 2 stories, and then there's an existing accessory kind of storage shed out back. Most of the site is gravel. Related to your comment about drainage, this site does kind of drain. There's a drainage ditch kind of back this way that works its way to the canal. Now, just basically switching to the proposed, which is basically adding a storage building, right? So it's about a little over 2,000 square feet. The existing tenants, the purpose of this is the existing tenants are looking for more storage, right? So that is the purpose here. There's not, this is just storage space that these tenants can use to increase supplies and materials for their businesses, right? Now, as part of this, we have already talked to the State Fire Marshal. The whole purpose of this access right here, which is related to at least one of the variances, is to provide a one-way emergency access back into the site. Because right now, the only access is this shared access here between both of these properties. And if they can come in here, they have a better access to tie into their existing fire hydrants to bring in fire protection into the site if need be. So this is really would be used for emergency purposes only. The main access would be here. Again, the existing parking here and here. So that's really not changing the traffic patterns per se for the site. That's the purpose of this. We are pulling back the drive aisle from the property line. From what the stone today goes right to the property line, basically blends right in with the adjacent property. But we're going to pull it away a few feet, but it's not enough per the code. But it's the minimum for the fire marshal. We can't reduce that width anymore. They need the 14 feet, and we'll go through that variance process and the state fire marshal approval. I just want to let you guys know that we've already talked to them. That and what they're concerned with, most of the agencies are only going to be concerned with what's being proposed. Right, the town views this as making the whole property compliant. But the state fire marshal, SED, they're not going to worry about what's existing, right? They're going to worry about this. So, if the existing building or the existing site doesn't meet certain requirements in their code, that's exempt. They're only going to look at what's being changed and proposed. So, like even with SED for stormwater management, we're not really changing the impervious cover. This project would be exempt in their book, right? There's no management that needs to be done. We're under the 5,000 square foot disturbance area. And I'm just kind of giving you the difference between how they're going to look at it versus how you guys are going to look at it. And so we are, with impervious cover, we're trying to reduce it. Maybe as we go through the process, we're able to reduce it even more. But basically getting down to that 50% mark, we would have to wipe out all the parking, right? I mean, it's impossible to make that happen with this small site. It's only a 3/4 acre lot. Again, it's zoned commercial, everything around it's commercial, it's been this way for a while, so, I just wanna kinda add all that into your thought process, because it's, you know, it's the existing building, the existing sign, the existing impervious, it's all existing features, that rely on those variances to make it code compliant, to today. And then, you know, 30 years from now, it could become non-compliant again if the code continues to change in that fashion. And I'm here, you know, that's kind of the, you know, the high level overview I just wanted to share, and I'm here to answer any questions that you may have.
All right, any questions?
Do I have the right to ask you what business wants to build this building? I know where 5 Atlantic is, and there's a lot of businesses back there. I'm just curious.
It's just the existing tenants in this existing building. It's not related to any of the adjacent properties. It's just these tenants that are, you know, how Mr. Hall has worked out the agreements they're looking for storage.
It's the bike shop, the surf shop, all of those back in there.
It might not be
Okay.
every single tenant, but he'll work that out with those
I got you.
existing
It's
tenants.
a
that are looking for
universal
that
storage kind of,
Mhm.
okay. Thank you.
Okay. All right. All right, well, thank you.
You're welcome.
Just, yeah,
You can open it up to the public.
open up for public to comment.
Yeah. At this point, I'll open it up to anyone in the audience that has any questions or would like to address the proposal before us. No? Okay. All right, so we'll close the floor on that. So as I mentioned, this is a concept plan. There's no vote taken tonight. This was basically in kind of a initial informative presentation. So, thank you. Sounds like you got a few variances to work with, and we'll see you soon. Thank you. All right, well, the next item on the agenda, and the last item tonight, is P364, 95, 97, 95, 97, and 101 Atlantic Avenue. It's PIDN 094.410, 094.400, 094.380, CTM 134-12.00-2089.00134, dash 12.00-2088.00 and 134-12.00-1297.00. This application, P364, again, is a concept level review of a plan titled Concept Site Plan Duncan, submitted by Andrew Warfield of Franchise Management Services, Inc. On behalf of the property owner, you're going to have to help me with this one. Ms. Tasso? Tasso Holdings LLC for property zone CB1, General Business District 1. It's located at 95, 97, and 101 Atlantic Avenue. PIDN S 094.410, 094.400, 094.380, / CTMs 134-12.00, 2089.00, 134-12.00-2088.00, and 134/12.00-297.00. The plan proposes the consolidation of these 3 parcels into 1 parcel, as well as the construction of a 5-unit commercial building, including a fast food restaurant with drive-through and additional retail restaurant space. So with that, I'll turn this over to Mr. Lower for your presentation.
Thank you. Again, just as a element of the history, a little bit to let everybody know where we stand on this one. As Ken noted, the site proposes 5 retail spaces. One of those 5 retail spaces is a fast food restaurant with a drive-through. Fast food restaurants with a drive-through are only permitted in town via the special exception portions of the code. That special exception application was made, reviewed, and heard by the Board of Adjustment, and the special exception was granted.
Right.
Okay.
When was that?
That was,
April?
I think so.
April, okay, thank you.
so as far as this commission, this board is concerned, and why we're here tonight, we're here to review a site plan, at the concept level of a land development plan, land development site plan, of essentially an approved use. The special exception has been heard. It is now an allowable use on this site in this zone.
Right.
Okay. So everything that I'm gonna say is post that, and everything that we should be discussing tonight is post that. We should not be rehashing the special exception
Right.
issues. Okay. All right. So in general, the site has been granted a special exception by the Board of Adjustment to allow the proposed fast food restaurant with drive-through. Please add a note to the plan referring to the Board of Adjustment approval, specifically include the application number. The site has also been granted a variance by the Board of Adjustment to exceed the 50% maximum allowable lot coverage to construct up to 60.9%, and granted a variance by the Board of Adjustment to provide a 6-foot wide screening area along Route 26 in lieu of the 15-foot wide area required. Clearly depict and label the area dedicated to DelDOT as additional right-of-way. Provide the existing gross site acreage and a breakdown of the proposed condition, including the area being dedicated and the net site acreage. Provide revised meets and bounds descriptions of the area being dedicated and the new parcel boundaries. Regarding parking, building floor plans will be required to verify the square footage dedicated to patron space utilized in the parking calculation. Regarding landscape screening, the screening will be required to provide both low and high levels as required by section 14073. Regarding wetlands, please provide a wetland report and delineate any wetlands identified in the field on the plan. Provide all buffers required for any wetlands identified. Regarding floodplain, the site lies within a special flood hazard area with a base flood elevation but no floodway designation. A CLOMR, or a conditional letter of map revision, will be required to be obtained from FEMA, the Federal Emergency Management Agency, for the proposed development prior to final plan approval. Regarding outside agency approvals, approvals from all applicable outside agencies will be required prior to final plan approval. And specifically regarding Tidewater Utilities, approval should specifically address the proposed development within their easement that they have on site.
Okay. Thank you.
I would like to point out that we have received a number of letters from concerned citizens in the area in opposition to the application.
So noted.
They should all be in there.
Right. We have those. All right. Any comments or questions from Mr. Lober?
I have a couple questions. So what I'm getting from this is the Board of Adjustments has already approved this to happen. So we are here to look at the concept plan of how it's going to happen. We cannot change the decision that it's going to happen in any way. Could FEMA or CLOMR or any of that cause anything to stop that from happening?
I don't think any of those aspects of the review could keep it from happening. They could definitely change the layout, the site
way it
design,
happens.
those types of things, sure. Maybe FEMA will have an issue with the amount of impervious or the amount of fill. That's to be determined upon application to them in their review. Or maybe the wetlands buffer will cause a problem with where they currently have proposed impervious or proposed buildings or whatnot. That remains to be seen until the wetlands line is actually delineated on paper.
So truly the time to cause this not to happen was the Board of Adjustments meeting, which happened in April.
Based on code, I think, right? Based,
Based on the special exception.
Based on the special exception.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And I guess I should add that the special exception was approved based on the plan that's before you tonight.
Right.
So not only are we here to ensure that the plan gets designed in accordance with the code, but we're here to ensure that the plan gets designed in accordance with what was presented
With
that,
the
as
exception.
evidence for the special exception.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Does the property include the barbecue place, was it?
It does, that is the easternmost parcel.
That's part of the parcel,
Yes.
Okay.
There's actually 3 parcels that are gonna be combined.
okay.
The produce stand, the barbecue place, and the building where Furniture and More and the jewelry shop are, that whole strip.
Okay. All right, thank you. All right, is the developer, wish to address this, or engineer?
This is not the developer, but the engineer. My name is Brock Parker. I'm with Parker and Associates. I'm pleased to be the professional engineer and the land planner for the project.
Okay.
With me is Mr. Nick Costazos and Andy Warfield. They're with the development team proposing this project today. I may be a little biased, but I would like to respectfully submit that I think what we're proposing today is an upgrade in just about every respect of the site development of this piece of property. As we know, what we have there today is, it's charming, but it is a menagerie of uses that it looked like has kind of grown over time. I'd love to go back in the history of the site development and see how it goes. Like the existing shopping center looks like it used to be a house. Been added on a few times, been cut up and just kind of stuck there. Then we have the garden center, which is kind of plastic tents with steel poles. Again, charming. I love garden centers. Nothing against garden centers. Nothing against the town, but it definitely looks like it's a pop-up, or it's grown as time has gone on. And then we also have the barbecue joint as well. Again, 3 different sites on the property. What we're proposing today is to, as we mentioned, is to reconsolidate the entire property, redevelopment the entire property to a single building. In your packet, you should have received the elevations, the floor plans of what we're proposing. The architecture of what we're proposing is kind of an architectural with a coastal feel. Brick, lap siding, some cedar coloring. As we move through this process, we're definitely open to the type of architecture you feel is accommodating on this thoroughfare. We're very present and cognizant of the fact that this is a very busy thoroughfare through Ocean. We want to do this right. We want to do this smart. And we have some flexibility with the site design and with the architecture as we move forward in this process. But from a site design standpoint, the reason why I prefaced my remarks here of an upgrade in every way is that at the end of the day, what we're proposing is a consolidated planned development here. All asphalt parking, concrete curbing, concrete sidewalks, a much more attractive building than the menagerie of buildings that are out there now. We've also tried to be as cognizant with our neighbors as we possibly can. If you look at the 3 property lines off the street, we're complying with the town's required 20-foot buffers, significant landscaping within. Most of the property lines have an additional fence that's being built on the site side of that landscape. A lot of your letters, a lot of your concerned citizens are in the neighborhood behind. If you look at that property line, you'll see significant landscaping, another fence, and our stormwater management facility. Our stormwater management facility is a dry facility. So one of the improvements that we're making here is the existing site currently has about 46,000 square feet of impervious surfaces. Our proposed development proposes 41,000 square feet of impervious surfaces. So out of the gate, we are reducing our impervious surfaces by, 5%. But in addition to reducing those impervious surfaces, we're also capturing and managing our site's impervious. So all of our water is flowing into that stormwater management facility. The act of reducing our impervious pretty much checks the box with quantity storage. As you know, stormwater management is quantity and quality. Quantity so you don't flood your neighbor, quality so you clean the water before you release it. The fact of reducing our impervious automatically meets the quantity assurances, but we still have to clean the water before we leave it. So what we have back there is a dry facility. It is not designed to manage or to store water or have a permanent pool. It's a percolating facility that will clean that water by putting it into the ground. We have a small outfall structure just to kind of manage the overage of the storms. But we're going now from a 46,000 square foot impervious surface site that is 100% unmanaged, all that water just runs off, to a 41,000 square foot impervious surface site that is fully managed with regards to stormwater management. With regards to the existing site, I brought some pictures of the site if you guys want to look at it, but If you look at that site, especially from the rear, from that same residential neighborhood, if you look at the back, there are piles of pallets, there's a porta potty, it looks like there's a couple of sheds, it's a menagerie of just leftover things that it seems like all three uses have just kind of stuck back there because you can't see it from the road. But you can absolutely see it from the residential neighborhood. I brought some street view pictures if you want to see them, but it is a rather unsightly option looking at it from those streets. This proposal, if you look at the site plans, there is no room for storage in the back. All we have is the rear of the building, which the architecture of the building will surround the building. So we will have an attractive rear of the building with just a couple exit doors and some sidewalk with a drive-through lane. The drive-through lane itself is designed with a double lane. I know a lot of people get concerned when you see Dunkin', but if you look at the sheer amount of cars that we can store in that drive-through lane, we are far in excess of what your code requires, far in excess of what we think we need, just because we don't want to be again, we want to be a good neighbor. The entrances on the site, again, just moving forward with my initial statement of trying to better this site. The existing site right now has 3 unrestricted access points on the 26. We're proposing to reduce that to 1.5. So 1 full unrestricted access point and 1 right out access point. That's just to get people out of the drive-through. So essentially really 1 in and out entrance on the site, whereas now we have 3. And you know, that site now is, there's no defined parking, there's a couple of bumpers there, but for all intents and purposes, it's just drive in and find somewhere to park on Stone. The landscaping that we show is very significant. So we are landscaping our frontage as well as all 3 property lines. I think the front streetscapes are going to be a real improvement over what's there now, because I don't think there are any trees along the front of that site. So again, as we move forward, this is our conceptual review, this is our conceptual discussion. As we move through the preliminary, the final, again, we're flexible. If you got any particular streetscapes you want to mimic, because this is kind of the precedent. You know, if we can move forward with whatever the town wants, we're certainly willing to comply. You know, we've gone through DelDOT with several iterations. DelDOT has asked us, and we've complied. They've politely asked us to put in a turn lane. So we are putting in a deceleration lane as you're coming down 26 to turn into the site. The lane out is dictated not necessary because it's just stacking within the site. But to get a car off of 26 onto our site, we are building a totally additional lane to get those cars off of that main straight through lane of traffic. We're also rebuilding the entire frontage, sidewalk, landscaping, etc. You know, as Mr. Lober mentioned, we do have several variances, special exceptions on the site. A lot of those are due to those discussions with DelDOT. You know, as we mentioned, the screening along 26 in one portion of the site, we had to reduce that to 6 feet just because DelDOT is requiring a pretty big dedication in their right of way. So we're having to give them a big frontage of a big portion of our frontage, and then they're actually asking for an easement behind that, and then there's another easement behind that. So by the time we got all of that stuff done, we only had 6 feet of screening along the frontage. But again, we've tried to load up as much landscaping as we could in that 6 feet. You know, again, the variance to go from 50% impervious to 60.9. Again, we are over 65% impervious currently. We are reducing that to about 60.9% impervious. So that kind of concludes the roundabout or the description of what we're proposing today. We've been fortunate enough as well, like you, to get some of the comments from the concerned citizens. If I could, I'd like to just kind of address a few of the reoccurring themes that I've seen in some of those letters. And probably the biggest one that I guess kind of like to hit head on is the traffic study with DelDOT. As you know, 26 is a DelDOT road, as is the majority of the roads in Sussex County in Delaware. So DelDOT describes or determines whether or not traffic studies are required. They determine what improvements are required on their road. They pretty much control the roads. So looking at our site, they're seeing 3 individual uses. So when they look at a site, they're going to require a traffic study really for 3 primary reasons. You know, 1, to determine whether or not off or on-site improvements are required, to determine your entrance configurations, and with our site, we're going from 3 uses, one being a restaurant, a shopping center, plus another garden center. the actual trips produced by our existing site versus our site are very similar. So again, I just got these comments a couple of days ago, so I just went ahead and got into the ITE trip generation code, and I've determined that the existing site produces 149 trips, and that's peak hour trips on a Saturday afternoon. So 149 is existing, proposed is 166. So as we move through this process, I'd be happy to submit these calculations for the record so they can be reviewed by your engineering team. But traffic generation really isn't that difficult. They give you a code, the code is per square foot, you figure out how many trips you're generating, you add them together. So we are from 149 to 166. So when DelDOT looks at that, they say, okay, so your existing site versus your proposed site doesn't add a lot of trips on our road. So looking downstream at the impacts that you may have on other intersections, the impact is not that great because we're not increasing the trips. If this were a brand new site, we would be adding 166 trips in the peak hour on a Saturday afternoon, whereas there was none. Now we're adding what, 17 cars on a Saturday afternoon. So when they look at that, they say, okay, that checks the box. There's really nothing to be concerned in that regard. The other reason they would ask for a traffic study is to look at like an on-site improvement. How do we get in and out of the site? We already have a center turn lane into the site going east. So that would be one extraction that DelDOT would require. You have too many cars coming into the site, put in a center turn lane so the cars have a place to seek refuge before they turn into your site crossing traffic. That's already there. The second one would be coming in the site from the other direction. Do we need a deceleration lane into the site? Well, they've already asked for that. We've already complied. We're already providing that. The other one would be a bike lane. There's already a bike lane there. We're maintaining that bike lane. The other one would be maybe a multimodal path. We're already providing that. So there's really not a whole lot of extractions that DelDOT can ask us for beyond that which is already there or we're already giving. So DelDOT looks at a site like this, and it's a pretty easy call to say, no traffic studies required. So that's why you'll see it in DelDOT's comment letters. It's mentioned in a couple of your staff reports that DelDOT has not required a traffic study. Traffic study here, would, in my opinion, would really do no good other than delay the project, increase expenses, because we've already got a foregone conclusion that the impacts here are less than 5%. And then in regards to Mr. Lober's letter, we're perfectly fine complying with all of that. With regards to FEMA, we are reducing our flows leaving the site. FEMA's concerned about floods. More water means more floods. We're reducing the water leaving our site considerably. Our design of the site elevates that finished floor 2 feet above, 2.1 feet above the floodplain elevation, so we're in compliance there. As far as the letter map revision, that's, I don't want to say it's par for the course, but it's kind of a standard operating procedure. Wetlands we have had delineated. They are off to the right out, back down the slope. We are not impacting the wetlands at all. The buffer may just clip our curb just a little bit, and if we need to permit that, we will permit that. So that being said, I think I've hit all of my notes. As I mentioned, I'm here, the development team is here. If there's any questions we can answer, please just fire.
Well, thank you. That was
a lot of stuff.
very good. All right, any questions at this point? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All righty, so we're gonna open it up to the floor. We'd ask that when you come up, just state your name and your address. Sir?
Real quick, if I can add, everybody, the rules of procedure here this evening, and as they are in all of these meetings, are going to be that everybody gets 3 minutes.
Right, I was about to say that.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay. All right.
Good afternoon, Council. My name is Carl Kylan, 27 Powell Lane. I just really want to make a statement, and that is that I would like to urge the council to realize that Ocean View has always been this cozy little town, and that's why most of the people lived here and were moved here. And I take exception to this gentleman's remarks that the Dunkin' Donuts there looks better than what is there now. I forget the exact words that he used. And the last thing last point that I would like to make is I would like to see the council press for a formal traffic report on this, because I know Dunkin' Donuts, they make a tremendous amount of traffic, much more than those shops that are there right now. And I know so because I live right around the corner. I pass them every day. And I pass Dunkin' Donuts every day, and you can see the difference. Like I said, I think we're changing our cozy little town into something different that maybe not everybody wants. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
My name is Deidre Burch, and I live at, just trying to make sure our husband can see too. I live at White Creek, in the very small community at White Creek. And I want to know if the town of Ocean View has approved the franchise business. Do they have to approve the franchise business? Dunkin' Donuts is considered a franchise, correct?
A business license will be issued just like as the CVS and the Royal Farms. That'll be one of the last steps in the process before any COs are issued or any signs are erected.
Okay.
CO is.
Okay, and then just one more thing. I'm concerned about Dunkin' Donuts being a building on the left side of the roadway to, as you're going toward the beach, because there could be a giant line there, a lot of traffic, as people are taking the opportunity to get some coffee and then heading on to the beach. So that's just going to cause a lot of problems for other drivers and for pedestrians and for bicyclists. And that's just my concern. That's all.
Thank you. Anyone else? Go ahead.
This woman is my wife, and we live at the cottages in White Street. And I have a few points to make. Not necessarily in order. The worst, I would say, are the least impactful, I suppose. I've always been impressed that the town of Ocean View has denied big chain franchises. You look there, we don't have a McDonald's, or we don't have a Wendy's, or we don't have a Taco Bell. We don't have any of those because they've been denied. So why are we now allowing Dunkin' Donuts? I'm curious about that. And then also, the tenants that are already there in those parcels, they may, might have some ugly looking backs behind their buildings as you described. So why don't we ask them to modify that, to make some improvements there, to give them 6 months to make the changes to make it all look better. And then they would be able to maintain their businesses and continue to run their businesses there. They could be, they're mom and pop businesses there, and they're making a living themselves. So, they're just small businesses. And Dunkin' Donuts is huge, gigantic business. So, who needs another Dunkin' Donuts? There's a lot of them all around. And traffic is another issue. I live right at the cottages, and I do walk my dog every morning on Columbia Avenue. And I see the trees along the street there, and I like it, and the white fence, and it looks really nice. And right there, as approved, the drive-through with so cars and exhaust and fumes from those vehicles would be coming then out onto Columbia Avenue. So I want to ask all of you who are here today, how many of you mind having rats?
Okay, we need to wrap it up.
Okay, so it's just the idea that, I'm really opposed to this. We really don't need this Dunkin' Donuts.
Sir,
Fine, thank you.
sir, before you sit, could we have a name for the record, please?
Eddie? Eddie Birch. Frechette.
Great, thank you.
Okay.
Hi there. Patty Mallon, 11 Columbia Avenue. Before I would say a bunch of statements, as far as a traffic study, if you live there, you know you cannot make a left turn out of Woodland to go to the beach. You have to go onto Oakland to catch a light. So having people come out of Dunkin' Donuts and make a left to go east is gonna be impossible. There will be fatalities, I'm sure. It's very dangerous. So I would suggest the DelDOT look into that aspect. A couple of statements I'd like to address would be the screening requirement by the developer. A fence wouldn't be sufficient in my mind to block a the brick building. Maybe a stone masonry kind of wall. Try to keep as many of the existing trees there as possible. I'd like an understanding of what the plantings will be and how much of a screen I will have in my front yard, not to see that. Another concern is the exhaust. With 14 to 20 cars waiting online, I don't really want to be breathing in exhaust all day. Let's see. The other very big concern is the dumpsters. They have that pretty close to Columbia on the far western side of the property, which is now woods. And I am afraid of the rats, like this guy said, and any other vermin that would come, raccoons, whatever. If we could put that closer to 26. Also, how do they pick up the trash right now? I get woken up every Tuesday morning at 5 a.m. with a loud bang. I think there's going to be a war going on. They're emptying the dumpsters at the vegetable stand. Let's see. So if they can't do it, the noise ordinance is from 7 to 7, I believe. So if they can't do it when the place is in business from 5 to 11, when are they going to do it? How loud will it be? Also, the community character. Like another gentleman said, Ocean View is always nice, clapboard, nice kind of charming buildings. A brick building is an eyesore as far as I'm concerned. It's another suburbia nightmare from where I left. Traffic study would be needed. And also the swale and storm management. About a year and a half ago, it took 4.5 months for them to finally, after 30 years, put in the ditches and the drainage on my street. We had flooding constantly, and my concern is with all the cement and blacktop, it's just gonna drive that water to the storm management. It's improved currently, but I'd hate to see us go backwards, and we waited 30 years to get that.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. My name's Margaret Ray. I'm at 17 Columbia Avenue. I submitted a letter, which you all have. But I wanted to respond to Mr. Parker's, or Mr. Roberts, the engineer's, points that he made comparing the current businesses with Dunkin' Donuts. I would urge you as the board to consider that we are discussing different types of businesses with different audiences that operate at different scales. And that is going to impact our business, is going to impact 26 and the surrounding communities, including the cottages at White Creek, sorry, I'm a little nervous, the cottages at White Creek, as well as,
We don't bite, it's okay.
you know, as well as, you know, the school across the street, diverting traffic onto other roads as people think about how they're going to go about their day or to the beach. So, thank you.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
take, so got my thoughts together beforehand. My name is Paul Norris. I'm at 20 Port Royal Road here in Ocean View. And if you bear with me, I apologize for reading, but I want to get it all in here, and I'm on the timer, right? So, Planning and Zoning Commissioners, Mr. Nastazos, and town officials, thank you for the opportunity to voice concerns I have about the development proposed for 95 to 101 Atlantic Avenue. I'm concerned for the dangerous addition to existing traffic congestion that a proposed drive-through restaurant on the 95 to 101 Atlantic Avenue parcel will present. This commercial parcel is currently occupied by several businesses that attract a moderate level of eastbound 26 traffic. Given the customer volume they generate, the existing left turn lane for eastbound 26 works relatively well. My concern is that a drive-through restaurant at this location would generate a much higher volume of eastbound Route 26 traffic turning left into the property. Traffic volume and patterns for a drive-through are inherently different than those for a business where customers park their car and walk in to conduct their business. My specific concern is that the additional volume of cars turning left into this property will further congest the eastbound left turn lane, which also serves as a critical outlet for Millville VFD emergency vehicles to pass congested, backed up Route 26 traffic as they respond to emergency calls. Delays in Millville VFD response times due to traffic congestion and the inability to use that left turn lane in front of 95 to 101 Atlantic Avenue due to cars that are waiting to turn left could be deadly. If I could ask that you take a minute to imagine yourself in this room for a meeting or out in the park for a summer concert and an emergency medical response is needed. It's summer, Route 26 is packed, and you can hear Millville sirens, Millville VFD sirens in the distance, but the response is being delayed by critical seconds or minutes as they try to navigate around the eastbound Route 26 traffic and are temporarily blocked by congestion in the left turn lane in 95 to 101 Atlantic Avenue. Imagine you're that person lying on the floor, perhaps in pain, perhaps struggling to breathe. I don't want to get dramatic, but seconds count in these situations. And it's a very congested road already. My suggestion is we don't add to that. I urge you to please think about the very foreseeable and unsafe condition that will arise if 95 to 101 Atlantic Avenue's new tenant mix includes a drive-through restaurant. Every Ocean View resident, worker, or visitor east of Lord Baltimore Elementary should be very concerned about this proposed drive-through and the dangerous congestion it will add to an already overburdened Route 26. I respectfully ask that you take the additional risk to Ocean View residents, visitors, and workers that this proposed use will present, and make every effort to work with Nastazos Holdings LLC to develop a tenant mix for the property that is profitable and safe for both the owner and the town. Thank you for your thoughtful consideration. I appreciate your time.
Thank you. All righty. Anyone else? All right, so we'll close the floor to comments. Thank you all for your presentation. So as mentioned, this is a concept plan. We're not taking a vote tonight. I think we've all heard different opinions, and I think we'll look forward to you all coming back with your preliminary plan. And with that, do I have a motion to adjourn?
Mr. Chairman, before you close, I'm sorry, I know I'm out of order, so please.
No, go ahead.
A little bit unfamiliar with the way you've got it. With this being conceptual, again, we want to do this the best way we can. So I'm sure all of you have seen the elevations, have seen the site plans. Is it the general temperature of this body that we're kind of on the right track? Or is there something you'd like to see differently, or something you'd like to see change, or any comments or suggestions?
If I could just step in, the concept plan submission was separate from the special exception submission. The special exception submission included renderings and elevations and those things. This submission application only included the engineering plan.
Well,
so this board hasn't seen those.
May I?
I would recommend at the moment that less is more.
Okay.
There's no vote tonight, and that's a discussion moving forward from preliminary.
I take your advice 100%. Well, thank you for having us very much.
Thank you. All right, do I have a motion to adjourn?
I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Mark, second. Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, we are adjourned. Thank you everyone for coming out.